I know you're gonna dig this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, welcome to the Funk Chronicles. I'm your host, Dr. Turk Logan, from Logan Communications Incorporated and the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center. And I am truly honored, and I say that a lot, but I'm truly honored to have our Honorable Mayor, Nan Whaley, from Dayton, Ohio, the Mayor of Dayton. Welcome to the show, Mayor.
Thanks, Dr. Logan. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. You're actually not from Dayton, Ohio. You're from Indiana, right?
Right. Like most folks from Dayton, there's some folks that have been here for generations, but a lot of folks come in through other places, and went to the University of Dayton and stayed and made Dayton my home about 20 years ago now.
And you have your undergrad from the University of Dayton.
Correct.
Chemistry, I believe
Yes,
it is.
yes.
So what were you thinking when you got were you going to be a scientist or a chemist or?
Yeah, I really thought I'd be like a pharmacist.
Okay.
So that was one of the things I thought I'd do. But I really got involved in politics and getting involved with people. I really like people and
Right.
enjoy the opportunity to try to make a community better. I think that was really my calling. So got involved in politics and government after graduation.
And then you went to Wright State and you
I
have
did.
a master's degree in public administration.
Yes, Dr. Logan, yes.
And you were an adjunct there. What did you teach?
Yeah, so I taught a class a few years ago, Women in Leadership, and I'm going to teach it this fall as well.
Excellent.
On Monday evenings. Really, looking at how women leaders have different opportunities and different challenges, and a discussion on that. And I just loved getting the opportunity to teach a class. You learn more from the students,
I
really.
was a professor at Central State
So you know, you know exactly what I mean.
Love being in there with those kids.
Right, so it's a great opportunity. So this fall I'll be doing that.
We're going to bring a funk center to your city
Wonderful.
to identify and honor musicians locally that came out of Dayton, Ohio, regionally, nationally, and internationally, because there's so many of them. And we want to make sure that the mayor of Dayton and the city commission, the city fathers and mothers support that. What do you see as we can do kind of a tag team together with that?
Well, I mean, Mr. Webb came to the commission meeting last week and gave us a nice update on, just the history of funk and its future here in the city, and how we really created that sound here in Dayton. The commission is really excited. I know Commissioner Mims has been working closely with the group
Sure.
to figure out ways that we could be helpful and, really find opportunities to celebrate what is a great music history, and hopefully inspire some of our young people for the future on ways that they can create a sound coming out of Dayton, Ohio.
Well, one of the things that I was telling you about making contribution to this great city, because so many great people, both men and women, black and white, have made so many great contributions to this city. And when I was a teenager, I was just in awe. But back in 1971, when yours truly started playing the funk music, it wasn't real popular. The word wasn't real popular. And the managers that I worked for would always pull me in, and I'd get a little spanking if in the event that they thought they heard the wrong word.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, and that's a true story. And then James Brown, who was one of the legendary masters of funk, came out with Make It Funky, and then it kind of caught on
Right.
and kind of grew from that perspective. But who would have thought 44 years ago we were sitting here now talking about bringing a funk center to Dayton, Ohio. So I think that piece of history is very important. What's your roadmap for the city of Dayton?
Well, if you go to my website at nanwhaley.com, we have put together, when I ran for mayor, a 22-page document that talks about jobs, economic development, and investment in the community. and how we create partnerships to make that happen. Each year we update that data and update that document so we can really report out to the community on how we're doing with
Excellent.
the roadmap for Dayton. You know, it's key for us to make sure that we have good quality paying jobs. The funk movement, it could be argued that you saw both in Detroit with Motown and funk in Dayton really coming from that really strong middle class.
Right.
And that opportunity for people to have a decent paying job, but then also pursue their passion at the same time.
And when
I
you see
think,
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio,
right.
they've created jobs, they've created notoriety for the city, and you know, I'm pretty sure that has a strong possibility of happening here as well.
Right, and you know, we want to celebrate and really, on the job front, you know, create opportunities where we have decent paying jobs in our community,
Right.
so people can continue to pursue their passions here in Dayton.
Excellent, excellent, and I'm sure that that roadmap will become to fruition. How does the mayor of Dayton work with the city commission? What's the relationship, and how do the two work in a tandem?
Well, you know, the mayor is part of the city commission, so you know, I'm 20% of the commission myself,
Okay.
and the guys, as I like to call them, are just a fantastic team. I mean,
Okay.
I think we really have the best team we've ever had in the city of Dayton. No disparsing the previous, but these commissioners have a wealth of knowledge and a real idea of how the future should go in the city. Whether it's Commissioner Williams, who's been on for now, I think his 14th year.
Okay.
Commissioner Joseph, who's running for re-election this year and will be serving his 3 terms. Commissioner Mims, who has served so many years as a school teacher, a school principal in Dayton Public Schools, really has an understanding of the education system. And then Commissioner Lovelace, who's been our social justice champion on the commission for years. This is is a group that, for elected officials, they really leave their ego at the door.
Sure.
And really appreciate and value the city and what it can be and what it has to offer. And so it's a pleasure for me to get up every day and work with these guys. They are fantastic partners and leaders and mentors to me.
And I can see that. I've been out of Dayton radio since 1983, and I remember Commissioner Lovelace, even back then,
Right.
walking the neighborhood in Dayton View and knocking on doors and taking positions, and I just thought that was, and I had him on my talk show Backpage back then, talking about, you know, some of the same things that we're talking about. So I know he's been an activist for the city of Dayton for many, many years.
Right, he will be leaving this year. He's
Okay.
announced he's not running again, so his seat is open. He served 22 years on the Dayton City Commission. He's the longest serving commissioner in the history of the city of Dayton.
Okay.
And we will be having the black elected officials, along with the Dayton City Commission, will be having a dinner for him over at the Ware Center, I think the first Saturday in December, to really recognize his good work and celebrate what he's done to make Dayton a great place.
And I also want to take an opportunity to thank you, because the Broadcasters Hall of Fame committee has found a home at the convention center.
Right.
And I know that we had to get the city's permission to put the honorees there, the pictures there, and the wall seems to be filling up because we got another one induction. So thank you for that opportunity, for being a part of that great piece of history. What is new happening in the city of Dayton that we can talk about and maybe see come to fruition, or seeing that's happening? You've got Tech Town, and that's a great piece of technology that's starting to happen. You've got incubators for small businesses in Dayton, Ohio, and all those things that are new to the city of Dayton, because Dayton was a Frigidaire and a Delphi and a kind of a blue collar town, and now we're making that transition over to the new technology and the future. And I think that's amazing. I kind of monitor that and kind of watch that.
So I think manufacturing has changed, obviously, since the 60s and 70s. And what we're finding is there's still a lot of innovation in manufacturing. For example, the 3D printer, right, where people can, the democratization of manufacturing, as we call it. So you like a watch, you can go build yourself a watch. You can build yourself shoes with a 3D printer. It's amazing what can happen now. And Dayton still has a huge manufacturing sector, but it's different. It's not my father's factory. It's a factory that requires robotics, and robotics training requires an associate's or bachelor's degree, requires engineering, and has less people but more innovation. And Dayton is still a center for that. I like to tell people the Wright brothers built the first plane and taught the world how to fly, but that Dayton also built the F-16. So we continue to be part of this innovation that happens across the country and the world. And it's because I think a couple of reasons. Number one, the size of Dayton and its region is easy entry. It's not so large that it takes you forever to reach people that make decisions, and that's really important. It's flat, so the entryways are great for folks. And then also the infrastructure we have around making things. That's what Dayton does, and the Midwest does that too. And if we don't make things, we don't exist, and that's what we were really created in this community to do, and what we continue to do. And from that, whether it's making music or making parts, it's that creativity and innovation in that I think brings the specialness of Dayton out. And so,
well, I have seen that, and in kind of stepping back, looking at the transition, because I worked at Frigidaire when I was a teenager after I left the city, and knew how important it was at the time, but to see Dayton go into the new frontier of technology. I've seen drones on TV that's coming out of Dayton, Ohio, and I'm a sci-fi buff, and so the technology kind of hits me as well. And I would think that for the city to maintain and for us to grow, we'd have to be into that forefront, like the Wright brothers were 100 plus years ago.
Right, so we see Sinclair setting up a UAS, an unmanned aerial surveillance work that they're doing for that technology to really use our workforce. And our workforce is so key in this discussion. The work ethic in Dayton and the people here that are earnest and want to play by the rules and think that if you do that, you should get ahead.
Sure.
I think that is the American dream. We talk a lot about the American dream. That is the American dream. You work hard, you play by the rules, you succeed. Well, and right now, that's, I think, a question, because I think we have a lot of folks across the country that are working hard and are playing by the rules, but are getting further behind. And so in Dayton, at least, that is our goal, is to continue to make sure that dream still is here.
Well, it's important because that's growth. That's economic growth as well. And I remember when Dr. David Ponitz with Sinclair was at the Y. Okay, and he had this vision and had this dream, and look at Sinclair today.
I know, isn't it amazing? It's one of the best top 5 community colleges in the country, right here, and that's an opportunity. If you're in the city of Dayton and you're a Dayton student, it's pretty likely that you'll get to go to Sinclair for no dollar cost, and so that's an opportunity for our kids to have a leg up that other communities just don't have. And so we need to really encourage our students to be ready to go to Sinclair, right? So not give up in 9th grade or 10th grade, but recognize the world has changed. We have to make sure that our economic development and what's the future of development in Dayton is directly tied to the students that are at Rosa Parks, to the students that are at River's Edge, to the students that are at Deca Prep. Those children in Dayton City Schools will decide what the future of Dayton is. And we have to invest in them, and we have to have our community know that is the most important piece to our future viability as a community, and we have to start paying attention to our kids.
Me being in that business for so many years, I always get intrigued when I hear Stivers School of the Arts.
Yes.
That is so important for our youngsters to understand this business of music, regardless, because I know when I was in the 7th grade in Westwood, I was given a trumpet to play, and I didn't know, first I didn't have the wind to blow it, and I just didn't have an interest in it, and nobody pushed me for it. But the Funk Center is going to have an educational piece there with Sinclair, School of the Arts, and it's so important that you and I were talking before we started our show, that the artists or young artists not only learn the instrument but know the history of the instrument. I think that's very important. And then if they decide to go to the next level and get into the business of show business understand the business part of it, because there's always a piece there. And I know in a previous show we talked about you don't always have to be the person that's on stage, because you've got the managers and the stage lighters, and you've got the producers and the associate producers, and on and on and on and on. And so you can find your piece, your niche in the business, and a lot of that I'm sure is done at the Stiver School of the Arts, and a lot of that's going to be done with us at the Funk Center.
Great.
And we want to see that especially you and the city commissioners are supportive and involved in that, because that's going to be, I imagine, Mr. Webb's vision, and I've been kind of trying to kind of consult and do the show here with my background, but I can imagine this is going to be a real showpiece for Dayton, Ohio.
We certainly hope so, and we look to be partners with the Funk Museum and Exhibition Center, and appreciate Mr. Webb coming to the commission meeting last week and kind of giving us an update and the good work that you're doing, Dr. Logan.
Well, in the early days of the music in Dayton radio, and we had a big 50,000 watt FM station that had a 3-state coverage and over 1 million listeners, and that's pretty big for a black program station, especially back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And bringing the local artists to the airwaves of WDAO FM was not as simple as taking a record and putting it on a turntable. First, I had to get permission.
Right.
And back then, the owner was there. You don't see owners of radio stations now, because a lot of corporations own them.
Yeah, and corporations aren't people.
Right,
So.
and they aren't people. Yeah. And the owner was there, and he was like, well, why would you want to bring these local people to my radio station? Because they don't have contracts, they're not on Billboard. And I had to do a real good, even though I'm a radio personality, music director, and a programmer, I had to do a real good sales job to my managers who lived in Oakwood and Kettering and didn't have an association with any of the artists in West Dayton at the time, to get them to understand what eventually came out of more gold and platinum records came out of Dayton, Ohio than any place in the world during that time.
Right.
And a young man named Adam Greaser, that's a graduate of Wright State, was doing a graduate project, and he did Dayton, Ohio, the land of the funk. And he did research on that, and it was only 7 minutes, but man, it was just phenomenal. He taught me some things and had me in the video that I didn't even know about, and it was fun. It was phenomenal. And so that piece of history, and was good for economics, because it brought a lot of money into Dayton, Ohio.
Right.
And and hopefully the same thing will happen, because I know you want new business in Dayton, Ohio. What type of new businesses are you seeing coming to Dayton, Ohio?
Well, we're seeing a lot of growth just in our income tax in general. So it's exciting to see the work that CareSource has grown, to a small company that was in the back of the hospital to now thousands of workers right in downtown Dayton. We're seeing a lot of creative companies come to fruition, like Catapult Creative and others that are in downtown that have been doing some interesting pieces since our media has changed so much. We're also seeing these microbrews across the city, like Warped Wing, Toxic, Dayton Brew Company, with this local flavor. And as we look towards what the future holds for cities across the country, we know that people are interested in authentic, walkable, bikeable spaces where people that are diverse. And that really sounds like Dayton. And so we do a lot of work to make sure that we have authentic spaces that are real, that aren't your cookie cutter you can get in any city, but that are unique to Dayton. And we're seeing tremendous growth in those fields.
I have just been become a member of the National Alliance of Small Business in Washington, D.C.
Great.
And I just started my induction a few days ago. And some of the things that we're going to be looking at, not necessarily just in Dayton, Ohio, but around the country, because we deal with the 74,000 members of the membership, is small business and technology. I sit on the technology committee. And and it's so important that it wasn't planned like this, but it's so important that what Dayton is doing as far as technology is going to be, and so I can go into these committee meetings in Washington and talk to Congress and the Senate and say, hey, look what Dayton, Ohio is doing.
That's great.
Carry that banner in for Dayton, because Dayton's home. I was born and raised in Dayton. And it's such an honor, along with the Funk Center as well, because I'm sure that some of these congressmen and senators don't have a clue.
Sure, that's great.
So we're going to have to educate them. But so you got that coming when
Wonderful.
when we start going into Washington and sitting on these different committees and whatnot.
Well, appreciate your leadership there. That's
Well, it's a
fantastic,
leadership-
and championing Dayton.
Yeah. Well, it's from home, and I'm seeing the growth. I'm feeling the growth. I see it on the news all the time. I see it in your eyes. I see the glow and the smile and everything there to continue making this the great city that it is, and that it's going to continue to be. Because I took ownership in the Gem City.
Great.
I go back with Paul Leonard and James McGee and Ryan McLean, great mayors for the city of Dayton, and Mike Turner, and great leadership. And now you yourself, you're in that seat, and I think it's so special. We've got a few minutes left. Why don't you leave us with something for the Funk Center? And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to make a donation, our website is www.daytonfunkhall.com, and we are a 501c3. We're nonprofit, and it should be a tax write-off for you. Leave us with something, Mayor.
Well, no, we're just really pleased to be a partnership, with the Funk effort, and we know that this has been a key part of our past, and we look forward to it being a great part of our future.
Mayor, thank you for coming on
Thanks,
the program.
Dr. Lear. Thank
Nan
you.
Whaley.
Thank you.
Good luck. Continue
Thank
doing
you.
what you do. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had the mayor of Dayton, Ohio, the great city of Dayton, Ohio, on the Funk Chronicles. I'm your host, Dr. Turk Logan. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.